Perhaps capital was led to believe that surely no one would have an issue with the possible injection of a $100 million investment that expands the tax base and would potentially benefit the school district. My not in my backyard argument seems self-serving. I get it. It stinks for me, it stinks for my family, it stinks for my neighbors. We probably should have seen this coming. Tough luck for us. I really didn't know there were bigger plans for that property when I purchased up Frolic almost 10 years ago. However, it's not about a few folks on Frolic. This development affects a great number of residents directly. It's our backyard. I'm here to tell you that if you want the community to feel proud of this project, then revamp it. I don't want to live next to an essentially gated community. I would like to live in an open community. I don't want to see more traffic chaos on Kenwood Road and on every other side street in that neighborhood. I want to look at the giant trees and be proud of the plants and natural vegetation in my yard, not look at the back of a multi-story parking garage or a 4-story apartment building. I do appreciate the trustees for your time letting us speak, and I hope your decision is not solely based on the potential tax dollars, but on safety and the livelihood of the township residents. Please do your research and base your decision on what best serves the community. That is your charge. Ask the tough questions. I am confident that you will find that this current proposal misses the mark, but I'm optimistic some solutions can and hopefully will be found. Thank you.
Questions from the board? Mr. Ryan, could we get a copy of that just for the record? Of what you just spoke?
I could give you this copy, or I could email you one later this evening.
Yeah, but you email it directly to Greg, just so we have a copy of it for the record.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions?
I'd like to have a copy of that too.
Well, you send it very electronically, we'll all get copies. Any questions from the board? For the application?
Mr. Rossi?
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you one question.
Yes.
You made reference to a shakedown letter.
I felt that the letter from the Deer Park School District was a shakedown letter in terms of if the petition is signed, then we get something out of it. And I feel that that pressure from the school board to endorse that project was the term I used was shakedown.
I'm not clear. Just tell me, who was the school board shaking down?
I think that in my opinion, it was all of the Deer Park residents and everyone in that district who received that letter.
And how were they shaking down? What were they shaking down?
I believe it was inappropriate for them to ask us to sign a petition to help endorse this project in hopes of getting the $1.2 million if this project goes through. That's why I called it, again in my words, a conditional promise, an if-then statement.
Let me just show you this aerial photograph.
Absolutely.
Have you point out your mobile where it kind of So we're clear for the record, should be on the east side of Frolic,
That is correct.
you'd be north of Dunedin,
That is correct.
west of Happiness Way,
That is correct.
and you back up the subject property.
Right back up to the subject property, correct? Yes.
Okay. And am I correct in understanding that Representative Capital did reach out to you and other neighbors on a number of occasions?
They absolutely did. I've had multiple email correspondences with Mr. Dial over the past several months.
And they were always polite and direct?
For the most part, with Mr. Dial, I find that the tone was polite and the level of professionalism was very high. But I'd like to point for the record again with Mr. Dial. Yeah.
And you have exhibit 101.
Yeah, this is,
No, 101.
oh, I'm sorry. I don't have any exhibits in front of me. Oh, sorry.
You understand the property is in the SPI, Special Public Interest District, Suburban Center Corridor, Kenwood, Montgomery Road Corridor overlay?
Yes, I absolutely do. I've heard it several times this evening.
All right. And you made the, I wrote down that you said you were concerned about an encroachment into residential neighborhoods, correct?
I do. Yes, I am concerned with that.
And you understand the subject property permits, as of right, office use?
Yes, I absolutely do.
And it permits a retail shopping center greater than 100,000 square feet of gross floor area?
Yes, I understand that.
And you understand that it permits mixed-use retail shopping, office, and/or residential under a...
Yes,
PUD?
I understand that the zoning allows for that. I do not agree with it, but I understand that it absolutely does.
And you understand that right now the rear yard setback that's allowed is only 20 feet.
Right.
So you can have this development within 20 feet of your property as of...
Yeah, this has been mentioned several times, and I believe Mr. Fasaro said that one of the last times he spoke that he made that point several times, that that's something that Capital could do.
And you understand that the buffer that's being provided is actually substantially greater than 20 feet.
I wouldn't use the word substantially. I do understand that it's greater than 20 feet, again, but if you were to look out my kitchen window, I wouldn't see the buffer. I would just see the building because I would not be looking down into that property, because right now there's oak trees and pine trees and we have that natural green barrier. So the buffer, I think it's great that it's been made bigger, but to me it's not a huge, I mean, it's not gonna really change my view of the building.
You understand how far the building would be, the closest building would be to your property line?
I don't have I couldn't give you the exact footage.
What do you believe it to be?
I really have no idea, so I wouldn't even want to. So maybe Mr. Dial, or
Let me represent you as 120 feet,
if you say that, I would absolutely believe that.
and you would agree that's 6 times what is actually permitted as of right.
If that's what the zoning is and that's what you're doing, then I would, accept that, certainly.
And I understand your concern really is the buffer. You want a substantial buffer between you and the developer.
That was, with the buffer, is keeping the mature green belt that is there presently, not taking that down to create this new buffer, but use the buffer that's there. The existing buffer was the point that I was trying to make.
Am I correct? That's your major point?
That is one of my major points that I tried to make this evening.
What would be more important than that point?
I think I don't want to say maybe more important, but I am very concerned with the amount of traffic and how that volume increases on Frolic Drive, and especially through all the side streets in the neighborhood. It's a safety issue for me, so I would say that is also very important in my mind.
You understand that Happiness Way is being closed off just east of Frolic?
Yeah, I walk those streets multiple times a day, and I have a lot of time to think about that when I'm walking my dog, and I always try and think of the pros and cons of whether that should be kept open or not. And in my opinion, closing that, the reality is that with Kenwood, with the chance of Kenwood being more congested, people are going to use the side streets to bypass that altogether. I mean, that's just what human beings do. So if that happens, it's just going to increase the level of traffic.
Would you prefer that Happiness Way be kept open?
At this point, I would have to take a neutral stance until I really couldn't make a decision on it now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just one quick question.
Yeah.
You said that our community is a gated community?
I use the term essentially a gated community because it's not something where I imagine that just all of us could just walk through those units and that space, and so we're closed off from that. And it's having this huge privacy fence around it, so maybe gated is wrong.
So are you aware that the only actual gate on our site is a fire access gate on the back of our site plan?
If that's what you're saying, then I would accept that.
Would you rather have that gate open or closed?
I think we need to clarify which gate you're referring to, so there's no misunderstanding.
Does anybody have the site plan as an exhibit?
I don't think it's your plan.
What's your attitude?
I've got your set right here.
Okay. So when we met,
Yeah.
remember I showed you the gate was back here, that it's a fire access gate?
Give me a little bit of,
Right where that line is.
no, yeah, no, I got that, but, so this is about where I.
That's your house right here.
Okay, that's, I just wanted to get that squared away. Okay, now you can show me. Okay.
So what's your, I guess
My
could you ask your,
my
re-
question
re-
To
re-
you is,
question?
would you rather have that be an open gate or a closed gate?
I would have no opinion.
Just so there's no misunderstanding, Mr. Dial showed us a drawing and pointed to a fire access gate on the service drive that parallels the property line, the west property line of your site, is that correct?
Yes.
Not the happiness way it ended cul-de-sac.
Any additional questions?
Would you agree with me that that's the only gate on our site?
Christian, if you tell me that's the only gate on your site, I will absolutely believe that's the only gate on your site. The point that I was trying to make is that we have a very walkable, open neighborhood at Holiday Acres. And what's happening there is this really changes the face and the look of that neighborhood. So perhaps using the phrase essentially gated community was stretching it. So I will concede that point. And if you're telling me that's the only gate, then I'll go with that. You're a trustworthy guy.
Okay, there are several people who have their hands raised again. These are for questions.
Only, please.
For Mr. Rising, I'll start back here.
You stated in their questioning that they have reached out to every one of your neighbors directly affected?
I couldn't answer that. I know that they've reached out to me. I can't speak for my neighbors.
And you think if I told you that they had not reached out to me or my wife, you would change your answer for the record?
I would absolutely change my answer, knowing that if you, my neighbor, are telling me that they did not reach out to you, then I would go on record and change my answer.
I'm telling you.
Then I would like the record to show I'm changing my answer, that they did not reach out to everyone on Frolic Drive, which seems to me a significant oversight on their part.
Thank you.
Betsy?
Yes, sir. I need to show you the map